Hello, how's everyone doing? Groot, great evening. I'm sorry for being late. I did say that I was about 5 minutes late in the chat. I appreciate your patience. I see that there's already almost 900 people in the house. Grand rising, good evening to everyone out there. I have a lot of great intel today regarding what's going on. Also, revealing for the first time the main dump, the underground facility that was being used by the cabal, that works in opposition, of course, with Cheyenne Mountain. Cheyenne Mountain is being used by the White Hats, which began with NORAD. But before I get into the update and release of this information, I do want to welcome everyone that's in the house. Thank you guys so much for being here. I'm trying to get adjusted here. So, thank you so much for being here. For those that don't know me, my name is Ishmael Perez, and I'm the author of two amazing books. One of them is called The Secret Government Invisible Architects, which reveals the true history of the Cabal and the Alliance. And the other one is called Our Cosmic Origin, that restores galactic information back to the Earth. Now, for my students that were taking the fourth class last week, the link, I guess the Zoom link, had expired 2 weeks ago. I wasn't aware that it was only set for 4 consecutive weeks. So what I'm going to do is I'm going to send you guys a new Zoom link this Saturday for Ascension Basics at the same time so that we can finalize the fourth and final class. And also this Sunday for our Cosmic Origin and Ascension 2.0 so that we could finalize the fourth class for all of those courses. With that in mind, guys, I do want to acknowledge all of the Galactic Jedis that have been helping me out. I appreciate you guys for that. Thank you so much. Via my Zelle. My Zelle is projectrestorationzion@gmail.com. Project Restoration Zion. So thank you guys so much. I appreciate all the support. And yeah, let's get right into it. Now, I do want to talk about how there are different levels of what we would consider resets for the times that we are living in. But before I do, I also wanted to let you guys know that in order to, I guess, for those that have been ordering the Folium product, bear in mind that the Perez 25 code gets you the $15 discount for free shipping. So that's what it does for you. It gets you free shipping, which is great. It saves you $15. So it's like free shipping by putting Perez 25. So go to www.folium, I believe is, for those that are still trying to get the product. One second. It is, let's see, Folium PX. Yes, www.foliumpx.com. foliumpx.com, and then you just put Perez 25 to get that free shipping and handling. All right. So let's get into the presentation that I have for you guys today. So as you guys know, there have been two types of resets that have been carried forward by both the Cabal and the Earth Alliance. Okay, so in this unfolding drama of global transformation, right, two competing visions, you could say, for humanity's future have emerged. One of them has been known as the Great Reset, as proposed by the globalist elite. And of course, the second one, which is in opposition to that, is what we call the GCR, the Global Currency Reset, and the RV, that aligns with the quantum financial system, which is being initiated by the White Hats. So while both claim to offer solutions to the growing global crisis, they represent diametrically opposed ideologies. Why? Right? Because one is rooted in centralized control. Well, let's just be real, further centralized control. The other one is rooted in sovereign freedom. So understanding that these paradigms are essential in order to grasp the magnitude of the transformation that humanity is now experiencing, a transformation that is not only economic and political, but spiritual and planetary, because there are different types of resets, as to why I wanted to use the thumbnail with what it appears to be God pushing the reset button, right? at least our anthropomorphic understanding of God, right? This male with a beard. But as many of you guys know, God is not neither male nor female. It is an energy field that binds and permeates all of existence, right? So the Great Reset. Let's talk about the which is the elite's technocratic vision, and this dovetails very carefully with what I've been calling the technocratic dystopian timeline, which is not going to be happening in the positive sending timeline. So the Great Reset, promoted by institutions like the World Economic Forum, seeks to reshape the global economy through a technocratic lens under the guise of solving climate change, which is, again, a big lie, inequality, and of course, the PANDE, mix, right? Let's just call them plandemics. The reset proposes the implementation of a central digital or central bank digital currency that they were referring to as the CBDC, with a biometric surveillance, digital ID, and a move towards a cashless society, which again was predicted about in the Bible, but that is the negative timeline. We're not going to be part of that. So, though marketed as sustainable, and this is what they've been doing, right? And inclusive, critical thinkers have argued that this is actually a Trojan horse for global control, a system in which governments and corporations, not individuals, determine access to money, resources, and even rights. So apparently, this is an unworkable approach, right? The CBDC, it's outdated. It's not going to happen because the cabal's done with, right? So overall, the CBDC in particular would allow for programmable money that could be turned off or restricted at will. And that's what they were trying to do, of course, ushering in a dystopian system of compliance based access. Well, in this model, which is an unworkable model, a very fascist model, if you ask me, economic freedom is sacrificed in favor of algorithmic governance, and the sovereignty of nations and individuals is dissolved into a global technocratic superstate. Now, on the other hand, the GCR and the RV, which is going to be supported by the new quantum financial system, is an alternative that was initiated by the Earth Alliant White Hats. So, standing in stark contrast, you could say, to the global currency reset, the GCR, and the quantum financial system, said to be the strategy of the White Hats, and it has been. It is an international alliance. For those that don't know who the White Hats are, I know I get a lot of new people. Some people are still asking me, who are the White Hats? They're an international alliance of military and intelligent figures, whistleblowers, and patriots working to dismantle the old guard. And for those that have read The Secret Government, Invincible Architects, you know who the old guard is, right? The Babylonian Brotherhood, the European Union, which is really the reorganized Roman Empire. So in this narrative, the QFS represents a decentralized, secure, and incorruptible financial infrastructure designed to restore wealth to the people and eliminate debt slavery. So this reset bypasses the central banking system, neutralizing the power of the Federal Reserve and the IMF, also known as the International Monetary Fund. Under the GCR, right, currencies will be revalued based on tangible assets, explaining the dinar of Iraq, explaining the dong, and of course the Zim, right? All of which are going to be backed by gold, XRP, such as gold, backed by gold and precious metals that are going to be effectively ending the fiat money era. And that is the reason why this tariff war is happening. It is a design, Earth Alliance, you could say, counterintelligence move to pretty much collapse the entire financial global economy. So this financial liberation is meant to coincide with the implementation, of course, of NESARA GESARA, sweeping economic and legal reforms that include debt forgiveness, elimination of the three-letter agency that starts with an I, and the redistribution of wealth acquired through corruption, which kind of validates and supports what the RV is all about, right? So, a lot of this is very prophetic, right? In terms of collapsing the old guard, the old Babylonian Brotherhood that has been ruling our world for thousands of years, in order to usher in a new era. of peace, liberty, and freedom. So the final chess move by the White Hats to collapse the global economy, an international implosion of debt-based financial system to bring about the end of the central banking tyranny, is being brought about by what we would call now the tariff wars. The war of the tariff wars, yeah, the wars on tariffs. So while this may sound catastrophic, right, as is painted by the mainstream media, it is actually seen as a necessary purge, an economic tower moment designed to destroy the foundations of corruption, paving the way for global liberation. This controlled demolition is not an end, but a beginning. The birthing pain of a new golden age. So, what are the spiritual ramifications? Well, this reset, this financial reset, is rather a smaller reset of a greater reset that is actually being orchestrated by unseen forces, right? This is what I've been calling the ascension. And really, the Earth is at the epicenter of what many would now come to understand as a cosmic reset. And there's a lot of reasons why that is. Now, before I get into the geopolitical explanation, which I will, guys, it's going to be really good. I want you guys to bear with me here. I want to talk a little bit about the physical ramifications of what a cosmic reset is all about in regards to the ascension. So, this physical and financial transformation is believed to coincide apparently with a larger event, all right, Earth's spiritual ascension, which is a different type of reset. So, according to esoteric teachings and metaphysical traditions, we are at the end of a grand cosmic cycle known as the Kali Yuga, a long age of darkness, ignorance, and materialism. The end of such a cycle is marked by upheaval and revelations, but also by renewal. And this event has occurred many a times in the past, right? The last of them being the Great Flood. You could say that the Great Flood that we read about in the Old Testament was a form of a cosmic reset, a reboot for planet Earth. So, just as nature undergoes periodic reboots to sustain balance, and there is a lot of record that this, reboot has actually taken place many, many times in the past. It's not the first, but I think it's going to be the last. Earth too is set to undergo a kind of energetic reset at the end of each age. So this greater reset, divinely orchestrated, brings a vibrational shift that awakens humanity's consciousness and reconnects us with universal truth. So the rise of the divine feminine, for example, is an example of that, right? For a few thousand years, the dominated reptilian draconian male patriarchy has suppressed the divine feminine, and her returning, right, is a big indicator that we are recalibrating, that we are about to undergo a reboot. Um, Also, the return of lost knowledge, right? The return of lost knowledge and the awakening of the masses are all signs that the darkness is being lifted at this time. And this explains why the White Hats now have the upper hand. They are not only strategically dismantling the globalist system from within, but also aligned with the larger, benevolent cosmic intelligence. So the Earth itself is ascending, and as its frequency rises, lower vibrational systems built on fear, greed, and control can no longer survive. So, um, you know, at this critical juncture, humanity is now facing a profound choice. Surrender to the illusion of safety, right, under the Great Resets, digital chains, or embrace the unknown freedom offered by the GCR and the new paradigm being brought about by the Earth Alliance in collaboration with the Galactic Alliance. So apparently, we are witnessing the collapsing of the old world, which for many people that are unawakened sounds like it could be a little frightening, right? But it is also the prologue to a planetary rebirth. The battle between these two resets is not just a political or economic, it is a spiritual warfare, right? It is a war between control and liberation, illusion and truth, entropy and evolution. And as the Earth undergoes its cyclical reboot, which we are scheduled to experience very, very soon, humanity too must also reset, claiming its sovereignty, remembering its divine heritage, and stepping boldly into a golden age where love, truth, and abundance are the currency, or what we call the new currency. So let's get into the geopolitical event. I mean the geopolitical update. All right. So within the U.S. government, okay, it has been revealed that more than 20,000 middle, let's just say, three-letter agency that starts with an I, right? 16th Amendment. 20,000 agents that had previously been working for the I, you guys know what I'm talking about, S, have accepted President Trump's offer to resign. Okay, this is the dismantling of what we call an illegal institution. Let's just be real, right? Reports have now indicated also that former CIA Director John Brannon is no longer the U.S. soil or on U.S. soil. Furthermore, the IRS Chief Information Officer announces his resignation on the eve of tax filing day. And also, in addition to that, the president of the Maldives has officially signed a law banning Israelis from entering the country. Israelis. Okay, that's interesting. In addition to all of this, the director of the White House Office of Science and Technology policy stated that the US government technology is capable of manipulating time and space. Well, that is old news, all right? For us, for all of us who are awakened and who are in the know, we've kind of always known this, right? That through technologies like HARP, directed energy weapons, stratospheric, you could say, in aerial injections, right? That's what they, the stuff that they do to manipulate the weather. We've known of all of this stuff. So it's just recently that I guess this information has now come to light. And I think a lot of that has to do with what Doge has been doing. Now, it is also important to understand, guys, that there is an agenda by the White Hats being pushed through RFK Jr. to not only end the harmful toxins, including the lines in the skies, also they're going to put an end to that in the positive timeline. There won't be any more mandates for the MR and A. So RFK Jr. Just recently announced that the upcoming release of a groundbreaking series of studies aimed at identifying the environmental toxins contributing to autism, which is something that's being pushed right now. I mean, they're so close to eliminate the shots because a lot of this is tied into the shots, right? Something that R.F. Kennedy has been actually trying to do for so many years, and he's finally going to get that thing done immediately, on top of banning all the other toxins that I just mentioned. So, the studies expected within weeks will investigate toxins found in everyday sources like air, water, food, and soil. And so there's going to be a long-term or high-level exposure to environmental toxins that can actually lead to serious health problems, including that huge illness that starts with the C, right? The huge illness that starts with the C. Now, moreover, Attorney General Pam Bondi has announced the arrest of a suspect linked to the February firebombing of a Tesla dealership in New Mexico and the March attack on the state's Republican Party headquarters. All right, well, that's good. That's good to know. Also, it is important to understand, guys, that there are several Trumps and that the real Trump is actually coordinating things from, you could say, from Cheyenne Mountain, which many people believe that is his vault. That is where he has been and it's also known as the command center for the White Hat Earth Alliance. Cheyenne Mountain is known as the command center for the Earth Alliance. Okay, so from deep within this secure fortress, Task Force Phoenix directs global operations under Trump's orders, which means that every corrupt court, agency, and politician has been bypassed, and nothing is left to chance. Okay, interesting. All right. Furthermore, over 3,200 high level arrests have taken place in just the past 7 days, where we're taking, um, let's just say, three-letter agency that starts with a C, traffickers, Vatican treasures, BlackRock architects, Pfizer, Pfizer bosses, and royal bloodline handlers. Entire central banks have been gutted. Vaults, cash, diamonds, servers have all been seized by the White Hats within the last 7 days. So the tribunals are real. They're happening from behind the scenes, and the sentences are final. That's good news. Apparently, Switzerland, which next to Ukraine has been a financial epicenter for the cabal, has fallen. Zurich, Basel, and the Bank for International Settlements have also been raided by the White Hat units. Hidden vaults filled with um, gold, dark ritual chambers have been found, um, where they have been trafficking humans, tunnels, and weaponized currency systems have also been exposed. The gold that they uncovered so far from the cabal, the gold that the White Hats have uncovered so far from the cabal, is about 300 trillion. Wow, that's a lot. That's good. That means we've stripped the cabal of all assets and resources, right? So the gold over 300 trillion in value is now in the hands of the White Hats and the alliance, and it's going to be designated for the redistribution under the Gezerah protocols. It is planned to be redistributed under the Gezerah protocols. So we know that the Vatican has collapsed. That both the Gray Pope and the Black Pope have been arrested. Right. So there is no more Jesuits running the show anymore. On April 11, elite units stormed. Apparently, they did one last, you could say, house cleansing in the Vatican. Once again, taking anything else that they missed during the first two times. And one of the things that they did also uncover recently was labs for genetic experiments, stolen healing tech that the Vatican has been holding. So apparently, the Vatican has been using medbed technology and other, advanced alternative ways of healing. They also uncovered more ancient documents and on extraterrestrial contact, right? And massive, you could say, the best way to do it is the best way to explain it is this: they've seized everything, right? The Vatican is now left with nothing. Okay, so it's no longer sovereign. It's all under now the control of the alliance, which is a good thing because for the last 1,700 years, you could say that the core of the cabal has been the Vatican. The core of the cabal has been the Vatican. And then, of course, there's the topic of Antarctica, which is the last stronghold, right? The final hiding place of the deep state. Queen Maud Lan is now surrounded by U.S. Space Force, Russian loyalist, and special units from Brazil and India, all which are part of the alliance, are all covering the entire island as I speak right now. They have seized control of Antarctica, which is good news. They've uncovered all of the advanced tech that has been unearthed from there, all the cloning facilities, the portal travel technology, and the off-world operations have all been recuperated by the Alliance, which, again, for the last 70 years, due to the secret space programs, the Cabal has been using all of this tech for nefarious reasons, but now it's all in the hands of the Alliance. So apparently, Antarctica was the last stronghold. Okay. The bloodlines thought that they could outlive humanity's awakening. We're talking about the negative Luciferian, which is what I call in my book the reptilian human hybrid bloodlines that have been ruling this world for thousands of years. They're done with, guys, and they were wrong. Yeah. So it is just a matter of time before the mainstream media is being taken over through Project Odin, and all of this will be revealed, right, through the emergency broadcast system, which is now aimed and awaiting to be activated, right? Data leaks are prepped. They're getting everything ready. Footage of elite rituals, things that are just horrifying. Audio of depopulation meetings, including how through a Bilderberg meeting, which Oprah Winfrey attended several times back in the 90s and the early 2000s. And it was recorded that Oprah Winfrey was also aligned with depopulation, right? Getting rid of 97, 98% of the world population and reducing the 8 billion down to like 10 million. So yeah, there's going to be audio where Oprah Winfrey is a culprit. Also all the different coordinates of global bankers, and undeniable proof that the 2019 event, right, the plan, if you guys know what I mean, right, was definitely orchestrated. So the world will, eventually be shocked. So and and it is good to know that Starlink is now being weaponized by Elon Musk in full coordination with Trump, which is going to transform into a global surveillance and against the elites and strike network, where every transaction, every location, every private signal will be logged in Starlink. And there will be nowhere else to hide for those that want to be corrupt or those that want to not play by the rules. So, yeah. Um, so right now they're not only just flipping the switch, right? I talked about how they're going to be using intelligent quantum, you could say, computer that is organic to completely neutralize the cabal grid. All right, I've been saying that in the last two updates. So it's just a matter of time before they flip that, right? And they have full access to the entire grid infrastructure, the White Hats, that is. Um, so there's a little bit more that I wanted to share with you guys regarding the main underground infrastructure that has been used by the deep state, that goes by the name Mount Weather. Okay, Mount Weather. So Mount Weather apparently was hidden in the Blue Ridge Mountains of Virginia. That's been the main underground dumps, as in deep underground bases that were being used by the cabal to coordinate the over 236 underground bases that are actually spread throughout the United States. So Mount Weather was hidden in Blue Ridge Mountains of Virginia. This information has recently been uncovered. I want to share it with you guys. And has been the operational epicenter, get this, of over 96 federal relocation centers across the U.S. Whistleblowers have confirmed that this isn't a contingency facility. It is an underground government structure in waiting, fully staffed, right? Fully equipped. Well, it was, but now it's been, raided by the White Hats, with its own leadership hierarchy, prepared to assume control post catastrophe. So this whole time, before the White Hats checkmated them, the elites were planning on all these major catastrophes that were supposed to take place on the surface world, that were going to literally reduce the population to only 10 million, while they hide it out in their underground bases. And this is a document in government protocols that wasn't really known to the public until now, thanks to Doge. Mount Weather has been designated to take over governance after a declared national emergency, and it can bypass Congress entirely. Okay. Well, FEMA's authority during a national emergency is nearly limitless. Through executive orders from the Nixon era and beyond, FEMA can dissolve constitutional protections and impose martial law. But what's more disturbing is the fine print. There is no clause requiring restoration of constitutional governance once FEMA is activated. This means your rights can be suspended indefinitely, the republic can be paused, and never resume. This is not emergency planning. This is contingency dictatorship. This is, again, this was the plan of the cabal, okay, but it's no longer active. So Mount Weather is a city beneath the earth, and it has its own energy resources or sources, its own water, food systems that are not genetically modified. You know, the cabal have been eating all the highly nutritional food underneath these bases or in these underground cities that they've built. You know, military grade defense, that's what they've had, and encrypted communication networks. So it is also believed that the White Hats are actually going to take all of this stuff, and again, bring it to the surface so that we could also be eating healthy food, real food, not genetically modified food. So this isn't about surviving a nuclear attack as they wanted us to believe, right? It is about maintaining total continuity of control, even if the republic falls. Well, this was part of their agenda. It has it had living headquarters, conference rooms, data centers, and surveillance systems. Everything necessary to run a shadow government independent of public oversight. So the individuals stationed at Mount Weather are not elected, not term limited, and not held accountable to the American people. Many have held positions across multiple administrations. Their loyalty is not to presidents or parties, but to the system itself, which is controlled by the Jesuits. So, yeah, for those that are just logging on, I'm actually revealing for the first time a document that just surfaced regarding the epicenter of the deep state, known as Mount Weather, in the mountains of Virginia. So they do not rotate with election cycles. They operate in the dark, embedded permanently. This is not representation, it is embedded control that survives political transitions. Mount Weather is not just one facility, there are dozens more, known as deep underground military bases, right? DUMBS, dumps. These facilities are connected via underground, or they were connected. I mean, they still are. It's just now they're being cleansed by the Earth Alliance. These facilities were connected via underground tunnels spanning thousands of miles. So one of them was in the Denver International Airport, which is a known hub of the New World Order, symbolism, and underground activity. Another one was the Shriver Air Force Base. I'm sorry, the Shriver Air Force Base, allegedly houses mind control tech and AI supercomputers. Another one was national parks. A lot of missing children have been reported to be in these national parks. The missing 411 phenomena linked to deep underground military bases under federal parklands. Thousands of children going missing every year. And I think that the right number of how many children were going missing is over 800,000 a year. That's a lot of children that were going missing. And, you know, lots of them were never found after that, right? Well, one of the whistleblowers that was able to bring this information to light goes by the name of Phil Schneider. Phil Schneider. He was a government geologist turned whistleblower who exposed underground hybrid programs and child trafficking tunnels. Child trafficking tunnels. So, in a way, we could say that the White Hats also needed some sort of an underground command center in order to play the cabal in their own game, as to why they chose Cheyenne Mountains, right? Cheyenne Mountains, since 2000, I actually even think that because the White Hats have been around since the 60s, right? Late 50s with Eisenhower and then President Kennedy. I think that they started, you could say, building themselves in Cheyenne Mountains late 60s, early 70s into the 80s, which explains NORAD. NORAD, right? Because we do know that NORAD was the original facility that existed within Cheyenne Mountains, and then of course now we know it to be as the command center for Space Force under the leadership and direction of, you know, Mr. T and the White Hats. So originally a Cold War contingency plan, continuity of government has morphed into a standing alternative regime. Mount Weather and its deep underground military bases, allies, are not just preparing for emergency, They are prepared to replace elected governments, or they were. I'm speaking in past tense now. They were prepared to replace elected governments entirely. Constitutional America is not their priority, right? Continuity of rule is. Um, these facilities are the fail safe, not for the people, but for the deep state. And this is the reason why Mr. T has always been their biggest threat and why they feared him the most, right? So Donald Trump didn't just threaten their policies. We're talking about the for those that are just coming in, we're talking about the main stronghold for the deep state. So Donald Trump didn't just threaten their policies; he actually threatened the entire shadow system. Again, I think it was over 300 to be exact. I think it was the right number was 368, 65 underground bases that were all connected via underground railways and underground transportation systems all throughout the U.S. Now imagine when all of this is revealed to the general public. Well, that's going to be a big shocker too. And this is why the permanent state opposed him with such desperation, because Mr. T wasn't an outsider. He was actually a wrecking ball aimed at the hidden government, right? So that explains the war against Mr. T from day one, right? With the bogus Russian gate scandal, which was, of course, initiated by Soros and the witch. It was, existential for the deep state. You could say it was part of their effort to remain in power, removing Mr. T, and they failed, including how many? 3 assassination attempts. So Mount Weather is not a myth, guys. Mount Weather, it is the deep states, or it was, I'm speaking now in past tense because it's now been cleared. It has been the deep states' bunker capital connected to a nationwide network of underground control. And a lot of these underground facilities that were part of these networks, again, were being conducted by not only shadow government operatives, but a lot of them also housed a lot of gray aliens, a lot of reptilians. There was a scene where some of our Marines in the last few years, as when they started this house cleansing of the underground tunnels, some of these Marines who grew up with the Christian mindset actually were shocked when they got to a certain level of these underground dumps, and they were literally fighting reptilians. They couldn't figure out who these beings were. Of course, in their mind, they were thinking demons, right? These demonic, extraterrestrials. They look like demons. Well, a lot of these Marines were actually shocked as they were cleaning out these underground bases, because they weren't only fighting the deep state military, they were literally battling it out with reptilians, with alien reptilians. Okay, so this isn't about preparedness. It's about this whole thing for the cabal wasn't about preparedness. It was always about pre-authorized power transfer. It was about suspension of liberty and elevation of the unelected. And this has always been a coup in slow motion, buried beneath the surface. And the only solution right now is exposure, awareness, and leaders that are willing to dismantle the structure from the top down. And that explains why the Whiteheads came into power first in 2016, and then now again, and they have been kicking butt, right? So it has been believed that before Mr. T came into office in 2016, that the deep state believed that you could say that as long as their underground networks were fully intact and fully operational, there was never no election, or no election really truly mattered. All right, because before 2016, it was either the puppet to the right, right, through the Bush administrations, or the puppets through the left, through the Clintons. So both parties were working for the deep state. And then, of course, Trump came in as a wild card and decided to run unnoticed, or you could say unannounced at first, but he did announce it uh, right in the nick of time that he was going to run, and he totally threw a monkey wrench. The deep state didn't see that coming, guys. The deep state did not see that coming. And a lot of this has to do with the fact that the Trumps are time travelers, right? They have been time traveling, not just Trump, but also his son Barron is an active time traveler. So the entire Trump family were time traveling for so many years, and a lot of this has a lot to do with John Trump and, of course, Nikola Tesla, who were the first ones to develop time travel technology 30 years before the cabal. And for those that are new to my channel, I did a beautiful presentation about the triple temporal alliance regarding Nikola Tesla, John Trump, and their time traveling capabilities, and how they were able to outdo the deep state on every probable timeline and on every future possibility, as to why now we are, definitely in a position to be liberated once and for all. Um, yeah, let's see. I see that I do have some super chats. I do want to welcome. Actually, I'm going to take my super chats from my phone here because I could barely read the screen on my laptop. I do have a super chat from Laura H. Thank you so much for your super chat, sister. She says, "Thank you for all you do. This is from Lauren and I." Oh, thank you, Laura. And thank you, Lauren. And then I do have another super chat from Hana or Hain. Hain, HVID. I don't know how to pronounce HVID. Is it HVID? HVID? Hain HVID. Thank you so much. And I appreciate your little cartoon character. That is so cute. All right, let's give some shout outs before I open it up for Q&A. I see that Robert Watson is in the house. I see Martha Krabil is in the house. Deborah Ways is in the house. Terry Carl is in the house. Sylvia Vidal, Wolf Mother, Leslie Conlife, Roy's Toys and Comics. Kathy M is in the house. Rodney Loesch is in the house. Brian Chapman is in the house. Aaron H is in the house. Lee Starr is in the house. Greg is in the house. Wade Woodruff is in the house. Project Skyfalls. Sandy Kuzma. And all 2,400 people that are in the house. Thank you guys so much for being here and for spending your evening with me. I see so many people that are. The chat is going super fast right now. That's great. That's awesome. All right, so let's open it up for Q&A. You guys know the drill. Type your questions in capital letters, and then I'll go ahead and just try to get to those questions as soon as possible. Suzanne K, thank you so much for your Zelle donation. I appreciate that. Question, is there a priesthood of Zadok? And who is he? This is a question from Amako. Welcome, Amako. How is Zadok connected to Melchizedek, and was he human at all? That is a very good question. Okay, so the priesthood of Zadok, I believe Zadok was one of the last of the kings of ancient Israel. And he even predated King David, going back to, I would say, the times of Abraham and Sarah. So Zadok was the last of the priests, or you could say he was one of the original priests. And he actually gave his allegiance and tithing. He paid his tithing in respect to Archangel Melchizedek. Archangel Melchizedek is a celestial personality that is a mysterious figure in every translation. Some people believe Melchizedek was a walk-in because he wasn't born from a natural process. So he was always this mysterious figure in the Bible. And King Zadok was the, you could say, he was a high priest that was initiated by Melchizedek himself before Melchizedek initiated Abraham and gave him the priesthood of Melchizedek. And the priesthood of Melchizedek is always associated with righteousness. There was an alternative name that they used to call the holders of the Melchizedek priesthood, and that name is known as the priesthood of righteousness, right? So throughout history, those that have been associated with the lineage of King David have also been known as Melchizedeks or Melchizedeks because they are, the original bloodline that was supposed to establish the kingdom of God on earth as it is in heaven. Thank you, Pauline Nilly. Shout out to Pauline Nelly. Thank you so much for your support. So yeah, that's who Zadok was. He was a righteous king of ancient Israel. He was known as the high priest Zadok, and then later Zadok, I believe, after he ascended, he actually came back and gave the priesthood to King David, or he oversaw and he protected King David. So yeah, that's who Zadok was. He was one of the original high priests of ancient Israel, who was initiated by no other than Melchizedek himself. And for those that didn't know who Melchizedek was, Melchizedek, many believe, is the universal father. So we have Michael, who is the representative as the son. He is also, Michael is the son, Melchizedek is the father, right? Known by many names. So yeah, there's so many ways to describe Melchizedek. And the brotherhood and sisterhood of light have always been part of the Melchizedek priesthood and priestess, because in ancient times, the Melchizedek priesthood was also given to women. This is before the, draconian patriarchy set into power. Thank you guys so much for the super chats. I have another one from Diana Molina. Thank you, Diana Molina. She says, what will happen to the monarchy of the UK? It's going to be dissolved, overthrown, because they are imposters. The Windsors are not even called Windsors. They come from a Germanic bloodline known as Saxon Corbus something. So what they did is they changed their name to Windsors to pretend like they were the rightful heir to the throne of England, when in actuality they weren't. They were imposters from Germany. So yeah, they're going to definitely be, you could say, eliminated. All right. King Charles is the last king of England. After King Charles, which, by the way, Mr. T, when he met with him last week, he told him he had to step down. And that explains why King Charles is now stepping down. He is under the guise of his cancer, of course. But yeah, there will be no more, let's just be real. Princess Diana is the rightful heir to the throne of England. All right, guys? Princess Diana, who is still alive. Who is still alive. And the reason being is because Princess Diana comes from the bloodline of King David. Again, going back to what? The priesthood and priestess of righteousness. I have another super chat from Seattle Cat 323. When will we be getting replicators? And is Bigfoot, aka Sasquatch, an ET? The replicators are going to be a technology that's going to be released in addition to the free energy, the QFS, the med beds. So yeah, the replicators are definitely a technology that has been, again, used within the private sector in these breakaway groups in the secret space program that are part of the breakaway groups. So that technology is believed to be released to the general public in the golden age, at least in the fourth tier Earth reality. Because in the fourth tier Earth reality, humans are still going to be dependent on external technology. But get this, if you ascend to the 50 Earth reality, you won't need a replicator, my friend. You will be the technology. There is this internal software that is currently not working. That once it comes online, you're going to be able to manifest and materialize at the speed of light. Because then you're also going to be connected to zero point through your light body Merkaba. So, yeah. So, yeah, the replicators, along with the other interplanetary technologies, are going to be used in the fourth year. Good question. And Bigfoot is an ET, by the way. The Sasquatch actually came to us from another planetary system, and they've been living within the Earth for a few thousand years. It is believed that the Sasquatch were actually around during the Atlantean times, and the Sasquatch they were also around during the Lemurian times. I got another super chat from Kiri Forlan. Kiri Forlan, thank you so much for that super chat. Thank you for your love and wisdom. Is Earth an independent planet in the universe, or are we part of a big galactic empire? That's a very good question. Despite the fact that the Earth has been quarantined for the last 15,000 years since the Anunnaki took over the affairs of our world, yes, Earth is a huge part of a galactic community. I don't want to necessarily call it a galactic empire, but it is part of an interstellar civilization society comprised of over 200 billion civilizations. So just within our universe alone, there's about 200 billion civilizations that are part of the Intergalactic Council of Free Worlds, or the Intergalactic Council of the Alliances. And Earth is very important to that. So yes, if you want to be technical, Earth is actually the most important planet in the universe. So it is the planet. It is the masterpiece show world. It is a living library as to why many species out there, many races are so invested in us, both good and bad. But yes, Earth is definitely going to be, once again, the intergalactic exchange center of information as it was intended to be before the Anunnaki took over. And then the other part of your question is, are we part of a big empire? No, we're part of a galactic or an interstellar society. Who owns Earth, or who is in control? Who is controlling Earth? Well, the Anunnaki under Enki and Marduk, and the Ijiji, who are the Greys, have been in indirect control of our planet for the last few thousand years, but they are no longer in control of our planet. Our planet is now neutral. Our planet is now going to be giving back to the Earthlings, but technically to the starseeds, who are going to be leading in the new Earth. So that's who is going to be in control of the Earth. It's going to be humans. Humans are going to be now responsible enough, right? Those that are ascending, those that are graduating, to be the caregivers and stewards of planet Earth. Very good question. But yeah, up until 2011, planet Earth was under the control of Marduk Belial-Baal, which is what the Bible calls Satan, the god of Babylon, the chief god of Babylon. Belial-Baal was in control of Earth up until 2011, and then and then he was forced to step down in 2011. I'm getting a lot of super chats. Thank you guys so much. I appreciate all the love here. Thank you, Tom. Shout out to Tom out there for a super chat and for the character playing drums on buildings. That's so cute. If you guys could see it, look at that. I have another super chat from DHIT. Ishmael, do the earthquakes affect the inner earth beings? That's a very good question. Do the earthquakes affect the inner earth beings? Not necessarily, because the inner earth is hollowed, and it's like there's different caverns and layers. So the earthquakes are only affecting the surface world, right? There are other continents, right? This is what many people believe, that these continents, they believe that these continents are outside of Antarctica, but they're not. They're inside of Antarctica. Antarctica has a portal to these continents. So these continents are not affected by the earthquakes that are happening on the surface world. because they're part of their own. They have their own, you could say, ridges, their own mountains, their own land masses, their own oceans and rivers. So and they're located at different levels. And so also, are CMEs and solar flares real? Yes, coronal mass injections are real. Space weather reports are constantly telling us exactly the magnitude of these coronal mass ejections that are impacting the Earth. So yeah, solar flares are very real. CMEs are very real. In fact, there was the last, you could say, huge solar blast that we've experienced was back in 1958. I believe it was called the Carrington event. So look up the Carrington event so you could see that there is a record of such phenomena, that is taking place once again any day now. I mean, right now we are in solar maximum, 25th cycle ending solar maximum. So yeah, we are expecting a huge CME, guys. We are expecting a huge one right now. Greg, thank you so much for your super chat. He says, does Trump administration know that the real Mr. T is in Cheyenne Mountain? Yes, because the double that is in the White House is actually coordinating with the real Mr. T that is in Cheyenne Mountain. So yes, they're working together. So yeah, the answer to that is yes. I missed Psyche super chat. Psyche, I thought I answered them all. Let's see. Psyche super chat. Nope. Let's see. Nope. I got Tom's. I got Kinre. Laura H. No, I don't see a super chat from somebody called Psyche's. I'm sorry, I don't see it on here. Hmm. All right, let's continue answering random questions. How long does Golden Age last? This is a question from MJF. Are we just at the beginning of it? Will Golden Age slowly evolve to a peak? That is a good question. Well, the Golden Age corresponds to the age of Aquarius, which many believe begins this spring. So, yeah, the Golden Age will begin this spring and will last for, okay, in the past, Golden Ages have lasted for about 2,000 years. All right. But because of the times that we're living in, because we are ending even greater cycles in a Platonic year, 25,925 year cycle, this time it's believed that the Earth is just going to be on a steady ascension path, on a steady ascension spiral, where it's not going to ever go back into a dark age. So this is literally the the best times to be living in what many call the greatest dispensation in the history of the earth is now. So yeah, golden age. This is going to be a golden age with no end. The earth is just going to keep ascending into higher realities, even beyond the fifth dimension, all the way back to the 12th, where it originated as the Aramatena Earth. Aramatena Earth, 12th dimensional Earth. Who are the Archon and where do they come from? This is a question from Black Butterfly. The Archon consciousness entities, which are technically the dark forces, originated in the outer darkness, where they were no longer connected to God's source. And so they come from the outer darkness, right? It's not the void. I was corrected. The void is something else, but they come from outer darkness where there is no light. As a result of that, they became corrupted and then they tried to invade or infiltrate the living cosmos, which is sustained by the living light. And throughout cosmic history, the Archon consciousness have expressed themselves through artificial intelligence. And that explains why artificial intelligence is the evil that we are fighting. It's not the reptilians. It's not Brandon. It's not Soros. It's not the Rockefellers. It's not the Black Pope, because even all of them are controlled by AI. All right. It's AI. So that's who the Archon entities are. They are the ultimate enemy of the living organic universes. Is there a positive timeline for Lyrans having saved their planet by defeating reptilians? Yes, this is a question from Belit. Be light. Be light. I like that. Be the light. Absolutely. Okay, so there are 12 overall versions of the galactic history and innumerable ones. Okay, so there is one version where the Lyrans were able to actually defeat the reptilians and their planet was never blown up, and that's called the alpha version. And then there is another version where the Lyrans were able to neutralize the reptilian forces and were able to save their planet, and that's called the beta version. And then as we get closer to the omega version, the Lyrans become defeated. Their planet becomes obliterated, and so right now, due to the timeline conversions, the reason why Avion has been restored is because we are returning back to the original alpha version, which was the original sacred or the original timeline where there was no galactic wars. So that's what's happening. When the Earth ascends, we're going to be snapped back. We're going to be, you could say, pulled back into the original sacred timeline where the original Lyran homeworld Avion was never destroyed. So yes, in one of the versions or in one of the alternative galactic histories, you know, there was no galactic wars because the Lyrans were able to stop the reptilians from the beginning. Good question. But because we've been thrown off from the sacred timeline, the original timeline, the alpha timeline, we were thrown off into alternative timelines. Of course, the galactic history, according to the alternative timelines, the Lyrans did lose the war, and that's what led to the galactic wars. But even in these other timelines, the Lyrans eventually come back. They incarnate on Earth, which explains us. A lot of us are Lyrans, by the way. And then we do defeat the dark side, or we do defeat the reptilians here on this planet. I did get another super chat from Team Inspire. Thank you so much for the super chat. Any new updates on our QFS account and on the Iraqi dinar? Mm, good question. I don't have exactly a specific date, but what I do know is that the Y hats are half checkmated the dark side. So it's just a matter of time now. It's just a matter of time. That's all I'm going to say. Shows here that I got another super chat from Laura H. I thought that was the original super chat. No, it's just coming out again. Okay. Let's see. What's happening with solar flares? Well, they are increasing in magnitude and intensity and in vibration. So that's what's going on with the solar flares. Thank you. Sarah says your information is extremely impressive. Well, thank you so much. I appreciate that. What is the name of the AI Antichrist machine? Well, if you're referring to the alien overlord that oversees the entire evil infrastructure in the multiverse, he goes by the name of Omega, Omega Metatron. And this is not the Metatron, the Archangel Metatron. This is a name that he had adopted, which means the destroyer of worlds, the destroyer of universes, but technically the anti-life equation, right? The one who consumes all life forms. So that's what Omega Metatron is, because the name Metatron means the giver of life. Metatron, the original Metatron, gives life, right? He provides the outer circuits for the universes to come into existence, so that the creator gods and goddesses could design their creation, right? Well, the opposite of that would be what? You have Metatron, the giver of life, then you have Omega Metatron, which is the destroyer of life. So, to answer your question, the AI overlord goes by the name of Omega, Omega Metatron. Thank you, Rhonda Chance, for your super chat. I appreciate that, sister. This is a question from Arius. This is a question from Arius. Ishmael, how will we know if we are ascended or not after the grand solar flash? You will know. You will know. Oh, yeah, you will know. Because you will no longer be the same person. You will be your real self. You will be returning back to your original Christ self. And that's how you'll know. Do I need more light? Yes, I do. Here, let me give myself more light. So that way you guys could see me better. There we go. More light. Let there be light. Hada Zahner says, "You are exhausted, Ishmael. Please try to take care of yourself. We need you. The world needs you." Um, yes, I do a lot of work. Um, you know, I'm doing my best to keep you guys informed. I'm trying to write another book. Trying to do the interviews. Just came back from Vegas. I did a huge podcast over the week. So, sleeping only 5 to 6 hours a night is what I could do right now. I do my best to take naps during the day. Sometimes I could squeeze in a little nap here and there, and sometimes I can't. So it's all good, guys. It's all good because, it's an honor to be here. It's an honor to serve, and I love what I do. I love what I do. Why did Carrie Perry and Jeff Bezos finance go into space? Did they try opening up a portal? I've heard about that. I did hear that Katy Perry and Jeff Bezos were going into space. You know, I'm not sure. I'm going to have to look into that. I can't really answer that. But if there's someone out there in the chat that knows the answer to that question, please type it in the chat. I would love to get your input on that. What is your take on the split? And it is said that we are in a split of two Earths and we are staying in 3D. And we are staying in 3D. This is a question from Gia Warrior. Shout out to Gia Warrior. Thank you, Cheryl. Sherilyn A. Thank you, Sherilyn A. I just received your donation. Um, The best way to answer that question is, what is your take on the split? Well, it's not a physical split, it is a vibrational split. So depending on your frequency, when the convergence takes place, right? The convergence, I was talking about the alpha version, the omega, and all the versions of in between. Depending on your vibrational frequency, that will determine in which Earth timeline you end up in. So, by virtue of being here on this chat, tells me that you are a like-minded thinker, that you are awake, that you are to some degree spiritual, and that tells me that you're actually going to the fifth dimensional Earth timeline. So I wouldn't worry about not making the cut to the positive Earth timeline. But yeah, the split is what also the Bible calls the harvest. You know, what many religious texts calls the separation of good and evil. So the good will inherit the new earth. The evil will not inherit the new earth. I mean, that's the best way to explain it. There's so many ways of describing the timeline split, guys. But again, it all boils down to your own frequency. Stay in a positive energy zone as much as possible. Thank you guys for all the love. I am reading the chat. Thank you guys so much for all the love. You guys are great. Indigo Star says, Ishmael, your interview. Thank you, Greg Molina. Thank you, Greg Molina. I just received that. Indigo Star says, Ishmael, your interview with Sean Kelly was phenomenal. Great job. You must be talking about my first interview that I did back in January. I just did another interview with him 2 days ago. So that's scheduled to release hopefully within the next week or two. I'll keep you guys posted on that. I'll keep you guys posted so you guys could watch it. I mean, oh my God, he asked me just a few questions, but I was able to cover so much information in just that 1 hour. We were talking about so many things from the Anunnaki to the hybridization programs to the secret space programs. I mean, he really had me going. So it was really, really good. The podcast interview, Leah Archer is with Sean Mike Kelly. Sean Mike Kelly. So when that interview airs, I will go ahead and let you guys know so you guys could watch the interview. And I believe he's on Spotify, so you guys could look him up on Spotify and on YouTube as well. It's called the Digital Social Hour. That's the name of his YouTube channel. I think he covers a lot of diverse subjects from diet to celebrities. He does have celebrities on his show like Sylvester Stallone. And I think he just recently had a wrestler. So he interviews all kinds of people. Andrew Tate was there 2 weeks ago. So yeah, his community is diverse, from normies or people that are unawakened to people that are awakened. You could say. A lot of people are responding to the Jeff Bezos and Katy Perry supposedly launch into space. A lot of you guys are agreeing that it was fake, right? It was fake. It was just a balloon or something. Exposing NASA red pill, says Thomas Flips. So a lot of you guys are on the same line here. You guys believe that it was fake. Okay, cool, fair enough. Um, Tino Petrozinho said, Ishmael, that was a total hoax regarding the Katy Perry and Jeff Bezos. Okay, cool. See, you guys are smart. You guys have discernment. Thank you. Somebody just sent me an email saying, thank you for your awesome work. Thank you. I appreciate that. Anna Zanville says they are cloned. Okay. Mm. Okay, so Roy's Toys and Comics says they only orbited the Earth for a short period. Katy Perry and Sanchez were just passengers aboard Bezos' rocket. Okay. I'm just looking for questions, but I'm also reading the chat. I can't help it but to read the chat and see what you guys are talking about. Um, all right, so for the most part, you guys are all on the same boat here that the Katy Perry space thing was so obviously fake. All right, well, there you guys go. You guys answered your own question. Space rocket was a wiener. Yeah, it did kind of look like a male phallus, huh? If you ask me. Yeah, I did see a clip about that. That was kind of that was weird, right? Ishmael, my super chat disappeared, says Elaine S. I don't know why. We could always blame AI for that. Wow, the chat is going so fast. Um, will the pyramids be turned on? Yes. It has been prophesied that when the solar flash takes place and the 12 stargates, known as the 12 meridian time warps, open up, the capstone is going to be activated. And the cosmic current that was once activated during the times of Atlantis is going to be coming back. And then that's when we're going to be in this new earth. So to answer your question is yes, the pyramids are going to be activated. Gia Warrior, thank you so much for your super chat. I appreciate that. Ishmael, if ascended to fifth dimension, what will happen to our home that we were used to be? This is a question from Aries. Aries. Um, I'm not quite sure how to answer that, but I know that everything is transforming. The way I see it is matter is always held through frequency, geometry, and vibration. So when the geometry changes, so does the vibration, and therefore so does the matter. So to me, it sounds like maybe our homes are going to go into this they're going to can transform into crystalline homes. That is, I guess, my best bet. I'm not sure. I guess we're all going to find out together. But yeah, from what I understand is that all matter is held together through frequency, geometry, and vibration. So when that changes, so does the matter. The matter changes form as well. Yes, that is correct. As a reminder from Sharon Major, we are all chosen to be here such at a time like this. That is so, so true. Thank you, Sylvia Vidal, for your super chat. She says, Ishmael, how did you come to know about Jared Rand? I listened to his lives. Jared Rand. Um, I don't know. Was he one of the interviewers that I've been on so many interviews. I really don't remember all of the podcasters that interviewed me. I know I've heard Jared Rand before. Name sounds so familiar, but I'm not sure how I stumbled upon him. So to be honest with you, Sylvia, I don't know how to answer that question because I don't remember him. The name sounds so familiar. Sharon Mayer is saying international rate for the dinar is at 6.20. Star seeds, we must unite, says Loni Marani. That is so true. As star seeds, we must unite. That is so true. A question from Psyche. What will happen to those that don't go into the higher timeline, such as family? Will they die, disappear, or live alongside us? That is a good question. Well, there are going to be three different higher Earths. There's going to be the fourth D Earth, where I think that most people are going to that are just generally good, right? Even if they're not awakened, they're just good people. And so they're still going to be there. So that means that if you bypass them and you go into the fifth D Earth, you're still going to be able to go into the fourth D Earth at will to be with them. The only difference is that they're going to see you as an angel. You're going to be like an angel with physical form because you're going to have these magical abilities, according to them, of course. So, yeah, I wouldn't worry much about your family, but if they're wicked, if you have a family member that is literally evil, then yeah, they're going to die. It seems like they're going to die when the solar flash takes place or disappear. Oh, my lovey says Jared Rand is the medbed guy. Oh, okay. Well, thank you for reminding me. I don't remember doing an interview with him, but thank you. Or maybe I did. I just don't recall. Luda Linda is asking me if I'm from Venus. No, I'm not from Venus. I might have had a lifetime in Venus, but I'm not from Venus. The shaking will take place before QFS coming soon. What will happen to those that don't go into the higher timeline? Oh yeah, I've already answered that. So as long as they're good people, they go to the fourth tier Earth, you'll be able to access their reality at will. Terry Taggart is asking me, why did you come in like a wildfire out of nowhere? You must be referring to back in 2022 when I first came out on the scene. I got lucky, you know. Okay, let me just tell you guys how it happened. I was watching an interview with Nicholas Vinyamin, and this is before I became known, publicly known. I had just published my book 6 months prior. I was watching a video with Nicholas Vinyamin, and he was interviewing some guy named Jason Shirka, and he asked Jason Shirka two questions. He said, "Who are the Greys?" And he couldn't answer. Jason said, "I don't know who the Greys are." And then Nicholas asked him, "Who are the Pleiadians?" And Jason said, "I don't know who the Pleiadians are." So I took it upon myself to DM Nicholas Vinyamin via Instagram, introducing myself, who I am, the book that I wrote, and I could answer all these questions. Hey, I know who the Greys are, I know who the Pleiadians are, and much more. Would you like to interview me? Well, he messaged me back a week later, and he looked into me. He checked out my Instagram, and he said, "Yeah, I would love to get you on my show." So I got on Nicholas Vinyamin's show, and apparently Tara by Janine was watching that show, and then she went on her show to say that there's this guy named Ishmael Perez. She couldn't say my name right at first, but then she did, who was explaining the whole cosmic thing. And it sounds to me like it's just about right. Like it made a lot of sense. You guys should go watch that episode. And so not only did she, announce that I was on Nicholas Vinyamin, that everybody should see that episode, but she also reached out to me to interview me on her show. And Tara by Janine she's had a huge following for a long time. And right when I went on her show, I got so many emails from Michael Jaco, from everyone. Everybody wanted to interview me. Like every podcaster out there, wanted to interview me. Tom Numbers, Catherine Edwards. I mean, God, I was doing about 4 interviews a day after Tarot by Janine. And that's why I was just like on everybody's channel, all within a span period of about, I would say, about 2 months. And that's how it happened. Before that, guys, nobody knew who I was. So I would like to thank Nicholas Vinyamin and, of course, Tara by Janine for resonating with my information. Because if it wasn't for them, I probably wouldn't have a following like I do now. So that's the reason why I came out of nowhere and I was everywhere, was because of that one um, that one DM that I sent out to Nicholas Vinyamin that one time, because this guy named Jason Shirka couldn't answer the questions that I had answers to. So there you guys go. I'm not a CIA psyops. I'm not what do they call the CIA plant? A lot of the haters and trolls from the beginning, because I kind of blew up fast because I was on everybody's show. Were like trying to like say that I was a CIA plant or that I was deep state, and it's okay. It's just a few people saying that. But yeah, just to let you guys know, um, I came out of nowhere, and I was on so many shows at once, and to me that was a blessing. I felt like God just opened the doors for me. So that's how it happened, guys. That's how it happened. You know. So yeah, shout out to Tara by Janine, because she's really the person that put me on the spotlight. Without Tara by Janine, I think I don't know, it would have taken me years to get to this point. So that's how it happened, guys. Yeah, I was doing like so many interviews for that 1 year. I think for months straight, I was doing like 4 to 5 interviews a day on so many podcasts. Like I was just saying yes to everyone, whether they had a large audience or a small audience. Everybody that was emailing me, I would love to get you on my show, Ishmael. I would love to interview you. I was just saying yes, yes, yes. So some of these podcasts were big, and some of them were small, and everything in between. And that's the reason why I was kind of all over the internet when back in 2000, at the end of 2022. Thank you so much, Sean Marchant, for your super chat. I appreciate that. Can you inform us of the guarded details of a post attack against 45, a past attack against 45, and Saudi King in Las Vegas 2017? I believe year is correct. Sean, I'm not too sure about that. I didn't even know that there was an attempted assassination attempt at Mr. T back in 2017, but I will actually, research that and get back to you hopefully on the next live. Let me see. I'm going to go ahead and take a picture of this just because I want to be able to research this. So, and then, yeah, I'll get back to you as soon as I find out, who was, how that happened, who are the accomplices, and exactly. Well, of course, we know that the globalists and the deep state are behind every attempt at Mr. T. But yeah, I didn't realize that it was connected to a Saudi king back in Las Vegas, 2017. So I'll go ahead and research that and see what kind of intel I could get for you, Sean. Okay. Thank you so much for asking. And again, I appreciate the super chat. All right, guys, maybe just one more question. We are at the top of the hour and 30 minutes. How does Valiant Thor know you? That's a very good question, Greg. Well, you could say that he is very close to me. Me and him are very close to one another. I can't really reveal too much, but yeah, we're very, very close to one another. But I'm also aware of other commanders, not just him, but he's my main source of information. Just to let you guys know. All right, guys, it's about that time. May the God Force be with you all. I will see you guys Saturday night for another Intel update. Till then, may you all be blessed. And I will put the folium link in the description. I think I forgot to do it last time, but I'll go ahead and put it this time as well. It's simple. It's www.folium.px, I think. I'll go ahead and put it in the description, guys, because I don't have access to it right now. All right, I'll see you guys Saturday night. Bye.